This video is just touching on some of the measurements that you may come across. A couple of words and vocab that we'll need to learn. Just making sure we understand the length is when you measure how long something is, or the height. So if I wanted to measure how tall or short Mr. Blair was, I'll be using perhaps meters and centimeters. In which case, your ruler that you have, okay, your ruler is 30 centimeters, or it can measure 30 centimeters, but the ruler is actually longer than 30 centimeters. See where it starts at 0? I don't start at the edge of the ruler, I have to start at 0. If I look closely enough, I can see centimeters. It says 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, and so on. In between each centimeter are millimeters. 10 millimeters is equal to 1 centimeter. 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter, which is one of those giant teacher rulers. And if I had 1,000 of these 1 meter rulers joined together, that would be equal to 1 kilometer. Mass. Now this is a tricky one, because if I had a scale to see how heavy I was, some people use the word weight, okay? But really what we're sort of saying is how much mass does that take up? So if Mr. Blair got on a scale, his mass would be 65 kilograms. However, some people use the word weight. How much does Mr. Blair weigh? 65 kilograms. But in the proper way you're sort of saying it, it's the mass, which is 65 kilograms. And we've got things as milligrams, grams, kilograms, tons. We don't really use milligrams as much. We're probably more focused on grams and kilograms. When you get to heavy things like a car or an elephant or a whale, you probably start using ton. So grams, there are 1,000 grams equal 1 kilogram. So if I had my marker here, unless I actually weighed it accurately, I'm picking this would less than maybe 30 grams. So I'd probably need about 33 of these to equal 1 kilogram. So if Mr. Blair's 65 kilograms, I would say that would be, well, it's not heavy, but I'm trying to compare it to something. These 20-litre containers of water, it's about 20 kilograms. 20 litres, 20 kilograms. So if I need about 3 of these, a little bit more than 3, would equal Mr. Blair's mass. The other thing we're looking at is volume and capacity. Okay, volume is how we're talking about 3-dimensional shapes. So how much volume can this hold? And this can hold 20 litres. However, if I put some coffee into Mr. Blair's coffee cup and I filled it only halfway, so I filled this only up to here, that would be my volume, how much space it takes up, the volume. Capacity is when it reaches the top, it can't hold any more. So, for example, this capacity of this coffee cup would be around about 300 millilitres. But if I only filled it up, the volume would be, what's half of 300? 150 millilitres. And if I filled it up to the capacity, so think of CAP, stands for capacity, cap. If I capped it, put a cap on it, or a lid or a top, it can only hold 300 millilitres. If I put in 1 more milliliter, what's going to happen? It's going to overflow. So the difference in volume is how much space has been taken up. capacity is how much the maximum it can hold. So those are key words that you need to understand. So along here, mass measures how much matter is in an object. So how much space is this taken up? Remember, we're looking at solids, liquids and gas, talking about matter. We usually measure this by finding out what the object weighs. So that's where the weight and mass can be, we get confused. Mass and weight are slightly different, but we often use weight terms when we are talking about day-to-day mass measurements. Common measurements like what we've just gone through. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples. Scissors, and this is what I'll get you to do in class, and we'll get some scales, some accurate scales. Scissors, you'd estimate what they would weigh, and the mass is the actual mass it takes up, which is what you're actually going to write down. So for example, if I estimate my scissors weighed, I'm talking grams, because I know if I go to the shop I might buy a kilogram of coffee beans, 1 kilogram. Scissors are a bit lighter, so I'm talking grams. Remember how many grams make up 1 kilogram? 1,000. I'm estimating maybe 200 grams. 200 grams. If I wrote that in kilograms, I would write that as 0.2 kilograms. Remember to put the unit, whatever this is, kgs or grams. The mass, and if I measured it, and let's say it came out as 300 grams, it's not a bad estimate. My glue stick, my pencil case, you measure all these. However, if you're measuring yourself, how much mass you would weigh, we're talking kilograms, okay? Kilograms. So Mr. Blair, for example, if I didn't weigh myself for a year, I know that I'm around about 60 to 65 kilograms. Maybe I've been running a lot, so then I'd maybe take a little bit off. Maybe I've been eating healthy, just vegetables, and I've been doing lots of running, so maybe I wouldn't be 65 kilograms, maybe I'd be 58. So I'd put down, estimate 58 kilograms, and then if I weighed myself, and if I happen to be 55 kilograms, it's a pretty good estimate, it's a pretty good guess, not too far away. If I was an elephant, we're looking at, we wouldn't even go near grams, waste of time. Kilograms, probably leaning more towards ton. 1,000 kilograms is equal to 1 ton. So our cars that you drive to school in, probably about 1 ton, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, depending on what you have. So between 1 and 2 tons would be a car, and I'm not sure exactly what an elephant would weigh, but you're looking at 1 ton or 2 ton and some kgs. So that's where our sort of different measurements come into place. Learn those, the vocab, because that's really important to make you learn to the next step for measurements. Remember what this is called? Trundle wheel. Okay, so I'll put it at the start, and if I move this along, it's equivalent to 100 centimetres, which is the same as 1 metre. Once I get to 100 centimetres or 1 metre, it clicks. Then on the back of this, I'll have a counter and I can keep track. This is what we're going to be doing when you come to class.